How y'all doing? This is Preacher Man R&B, and this is another movie reviews. This time I'm doing Fast and Furious. This is the third chronological film in the Fast and Furious series. What happens on in this movie is at the beginning, Dom, Lady Han, and the two brothers from Fast Five are doing what Dom did in the first movie. They're hijacking trucks. This time they're trying to hijack a gasoline truck, diesel truck that has like 6 or 7 gas rigs on the end of it. So what happens is Dom and them go by and they hook up Han's truck to two Freightliners, and Lady freezes the hitch and breaks off, and Han got them to. Then it's the two brothers' turn, and when Dom is trying to get situated where they can get the next two, the trucker sees a lady on the top of the rig and starts trying to shooting at Dom and all this and trying to get them from stealing his rig. And during this, the lady sprays the hitch and loses her hammer in the process, and Dom has to hit the rig to make it break loose, and the two brothers get away. Now then, he has to get Lady to jump on his car, and when this happens, the truck driver jumps out because they're going down an inclined slope, an inclined hill, and there's a curve at the end of this hill, and there's no way that this truck can turn that quick because it's going too fast. So, while Dom is getting Lady out the truck, one of the Freightliners breaks loose and starts to explode and catching on fire. Well, this start roll down the hill, and the truck flips over to the side and stops at the curb. So essentially, Dom and Lady is trapped in between the truck and this Freightliner that's rolling down this hill on fire. So Dom spins his tires out and hits the gas right at the exact right moment and goes up under the Freightliner and escapes. Well, after this, they're having a drag race where Dom and them's at, and Han tells them that they need to leave by morning because the heat's getting too hot on them. And this is when Han leaves, and we don't see him till the next movie. But anyway, after this, Dom leaves Lady, and Lady goes back to the United States. Well, Brian is in the FBI now, and he gets Lady to infiltrate Broder's organization to get Dom's name free, to get Dom free. That way he could come home. And when Lady does this, she supposedly gets killed and murdered. But we'll find out what really happens to that in future movies when I review them. But anyway, after this, Brian's trying to get a name so he could get into the Broder organization, and he gets David Park, and is the guy who sets up the races for Broder. So Dom comes back to the United States when he finds out that Letty's been murdered, and he finds David Park before Brian does, and is about to drop David Park out the window, but Brian stops him and catches David Park before David Park falls out the window. And this is when David Park gets Brian into the race, and Dom essentially gets in the race too. And during this drag race, and I think this is when this movie came out, this was probably maybe the best drag race the Fast and Furious franchise has had at this point. And it was a real good race, and at the end of the race, Brian almost beats Dom, but Dom clips his back end and makes Brian run out of control, and Brian loses the race. Well, there's this guy named Dwight that's been talking smack to Brian when Brian pulled up for the race and all this, and he's done won a race. And a little side note, the guy who plays Dwight is the voice of Michelangelo on the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon on Nickelodeon, and he's the voice of Beast Boy on Teen Titans Go and the old Teen Titans series too, if y'all didn't know that. But anyway, Brian gets it where they set Dwight up for distributing meth, and the guy who's with Brian when they bust Dwight, it says, this is never going to stick, and Brian says it's not supposed to. So after this, Brian's in the organization now since he was second in that race against Dom, and they he's called up by GPS to go meet up with Braga then, and he does, and they get on this truck and go to Mexico. Well, when they get off the truck, they gotta get past the border, so they go on this track and then they go into this tunnel that's in between the United States border and the Mexican border, and this tunnel that's a whole different pathways, and they have to follow the guy who killed Letty to get through this cave system, and they do. And when this happens, they tell everybody to get out of the truck cars when they get to where they're supposed to be, and Dom turns his nos on and then hits the cigarette lighter in the car. Well, when they get out of the cars, they're about to kill the Dom and all the rest of them, because that's what they do after the drivers finish their each job. They kill the drivers, and that's what happened to Letty, or supposedly happened to Letty. Anyway, before this happens, the cigarette lighter pops out and Dom's car explodes, and everybody else's car explodes too, and this distracts it, and this helps Brian and Dom get away. So Brian and Dom get away with the drugs, and Brian calls his CO and tells them that they got the drugs, and Brian's CO tells him to bring in Dom and the drugs, but Brian doesn't do this. They go back to Dom's house, and Dom gets patched up. Well, after this, Brian and Dom call up Braga and set up a meet with him to exchange the drugs, but they're going to try to bust Braga during this. So they do this, and when they do this, the guy who is posing as Braga comes up, and Brian and Dom's knowing that something's not right, this ain't the right Braga, but before they could confirm this, the fingerprints match up as Braga, and they think, and Brian's commanding officers think that the guy they're talking to is Braga, but it really ain't. And before they could get facial recognition from the fax machine, they move in too soon, and the real Braga gets away. And the real Braga is the guy who's been posing as Braga's second in command, and he gets away. And after this, Brian goes back in and tells them that they need to go get Braga, but after this, the big bosses of the FBI says Brian's off the case, and he's done messed up too many times, because from the first movie he let Dom go, and then he just got his job back, and now he's messing up again, so they tell him it's not his concern anymore. Well, after this, Dom and Brian go to Mexico and capture Braga and just bring them back to the United States. So when they're doing this, all of Braga's men come up behind them and try to stop them. Well, Brian and Dom go to the cave system, and Braga says, "You sure you know where you're going? You need to borrow my GPS, because they've only been this way once." So, and Brian's going to the cave opening, and he goes through it, and then Braga's real second in command comes in behind them, and they go through the cave system, and Dom and then get away from the people who are after them and get through the cave system. Well, when this happens, Brian wrecks him and Braga wrecks, and the guy's about to kill Brian, and then Dom comes through the cave system and revs up his car, and Brian holds the second in command's foot where he can't move, and Dom kills this guy, because this is the guy who supposedly killed Letty. And after this, they arrest Braga, and they arrest Dom too, because they really didn't let Dom go like they said they was. So Dom's arrested, and he has to serve 25 years to life, and without the possibility of early parole. And he's on the bus headed toward the prison, and this is when Brian, the twins, the two brothers, and Dominic's sister, I can't remember her name right now, but anyway, they go, and it makes it look like they're about to set Dom free, and then the movie ends. And we'll find out what happens when I review Fast 5